Hello comrades, and today we shall talk and discuss 1984 by George Orwell. I had already read Animal Farm by George Orwell and, well, that was very depressing. The whole book made me uneasy, but that ending. There are also some parallels between 1984 and Animal Farm, which I'll get into in the spoiler section. So, having already read a book by George Orwell, and also that this is one of the most acclaimed classics of all time, made me go into 1984 with really high expectations. Did it deliver? Hell yes! This book made me even more depressed than Animal Farm, and that's an achievement. No, seriously, I had to read the gayest book I could find on the site to stop myself from going crazy. This is also
the scariest book I've ever read.
And I've read my fair share of horror books, and I'll get into later on. Everyone says that this book is hard to read, and I agree. But it's not because of the vocabulary or even the sentence structure, but because every line makes you think, and also for all the feelings you feel. At first you feel angry, which is a good thing because at least you feel something. But then as the book, you start feeling hopeless and empty, which is way worse. I picked up this book because I had just read Divergent and was waiting for the Hunger Games to come. And I just wanted to know where all the dystopian came from. So I just picked it up at my school library. And this book is the father, or should I say the big brother, of all dystopians. You can't completely understand George Orwell's work without knowing a little bit about his personal life, so I really recommend you a video on the shallow literature, which I'll put in the description also just over here. But to sum it up quickly, he had a comfortable life in England and left it all to find and to work as an ordinary person doing manual work and not being paid a lot. The main reason Orwell wrote books isn't because he had any interest in writing fiction, but because he wanted to spread his ideas and knew that if he just wrote political books, not many people would read it. So he sugarcoated his ideas with fictional characters and plots so that it would attain a larger audience. In his essay, Why I Write, he talks about that. What I have most wanted to do throughout the past 10 years is to make political writing into an art. My starting point is always a feeling of partisanship, a sense of injustice. When I sit down to write a book, I do not say to myself, I am going to produce a work of art. I write it because there is some light that I want to expose, some fact to which I want to draw attention, and my initial concern is to get a hearing. So let's start with the title, 1984. Why is it called 1984? At first sight, his choice might seem random, and random it is, by the fact that this is situated exactly 3.5 decades after the publication of the book isn't random at all. Already here, Orwell proves his foresight. If we take into account the technological revolution happening around this time and all the new progress, it would make sense that in a few decades, technology would grow even faster, and the constant surveillance of every citizen would be possible. But just the title is scary, because we're not even sure it's the year 1984. I'll explain later. I'll explain right now. So basically, the character Winston finds a book and writes down the date because he wants to write down his thoughts, but he's not even sure it's 1984 because there's no way to prove it if it's 1984, if it's 2005 or anything. So yeah, that's pretty depressing. It's also very disturbing because for some reason humans need to keep track of time. As we know, prisoners and people that have lost contact with civilization, the first step to keep from driving crazy is to keep track of time. And this sense of uncertainty in 1984 makes it all worse. In all the reviews I watched about this book, I didn't really see anyone on BookTube really comparing 1984 with the world we live in. But this was my major interest in the book, because we read books to make us think about the society we live in and how to be better people. Orwell gave a warning with these books, saying that it shouldn't happen in the future. So I'm gonna try to describe the best I can the world in 1984 and then see how it compares with our own. But if you want more detailed explanation, you can go see a video which I'll leave also in the link and here. So sometime in the early 1950s, World War III explodes. Nuclear bombs are used and all that fun stuff, and the world gets divided into 3 nations. United States, Canada, South Africa, New Zealand and Australia formed to create Oceania. Neo-Bolshevikism, Russia and United Europe formed to create Eurasia, and China into East Asia. And they are all constantly at war for the Equatorial Front, which is North Africa, India and Middle East. The division in this book isn't very different from the ones that exist in our own reality, with the USA and Russia not being the best of friends, and China growing more and more powerful and staying independent. But the truth is Oceania, Eurasia and East Asia don't even want the Equatorial Front, but just use this pretext to shorten the rations, to make the people feel like they need protection and to use all the military waste. This is actually happening right now with mass production of weapons and constant war. If you live in a rich and developed place like in the United States, most of Europe, Australia or Canada, you'd probably not think about it, but there has never been peace. Since the beginning of humanity, yesterday, today, and most likely tomorrow, there'll always be one or more civil wars. The story takes place in Oceania, which is divided in 3 different classes. The inner party, which are the rich leaders, they're only 2% of the population. The outer party, which are the average workers, they always have enough to eat and a roof to sleep under, but they never have like a full belly. They are 13% of the population. And then we have the pros. They're the vast majority, being 85% of the population. They live in absolutely terrible conditions and are just seen as disgrace. And on top of it all, there's something called Big Brother, which is him. Oceania is ruled by 4 different ministries. The Ministry of Truth, which concerns itself with propaganda and making people think the party is always right. The Ministry of Peace, which job is to deal with war. The Ministry of Love, which maintains law and order. And the Ministry of Plenty, which is responsible for economical affairs. What's interesting is that the name of each of these ministries are the exact opposite of what they're doing. Many people refer to Big Brother as a tyrant, kind of like Stalin. But my personal belief is that he doesn't actually exist. Since the beginning of time, humans need to believe in something. Actually, what happens is that in old times, everyone believed in their gods. But with the rise of monotheism, there are more and more atheist people. The main reason, of course, is because of scientific progress, but another reason is because monotheism erased the face of God, and people needed to see a visual representation of him to be able to believe in him. Before there was something, an image, a drawing representing God, but with the rise of monotheism, there isn't anymore a visual representation of God. However, for humans to believe in something, they have the need to visually represent their God or gods. And that's why Orwell decided to give a face to Big Brother. Here's why I think Big Brother doesn't really exist. The first reason is that Big Brother never made any appearance. He's just this one picture, no other. He doesn't age, doesn't die, doesn't grow old. He's just this one picture. I think that the party knew that people needed something to believe in, so they took a picture of an absolutely unimportant man and made Big Brother out of him. They took this particular man to play Big Brother because he had an authoritarian face that inspires confidence and makes you want to trust him. Big Brother is really just a symbol for the party, a personification if you will. And when they want you to love Big Brother, it's really just a metaphor to make you love INCSOC. INCSOC is the name of the party and it stands short for English Socialism. I'll give you a little unspoiler synopsis before I dive deeper into the story. So it's the story of this totalitarianist, nailed it, world where we meet this character named Winston Smith, who is under constant surveillance. And he tries to find individualism in this terrible world. He's trying to write a journal, and he's overall really not happy in the society. is so much more to say about 1984, but if I was going to explain everything like newspeak, doublethink and thought crime, I would reveal too much of the plot and what happens to the main character Winston. So more profound review coming soon, and meanwhile I'd love to know about what do you think about sharing our personal information on the internet. Is it possible or not to keep a safe distance? Okay, that's all for this time. Thanks for watching, and remember, big brothers are watching you. Take care. Bye.